So it's 2026 and I've already made some changes to my office. And honestly, I think that's kind of been the theme with pretty much every office space I've had. I'm always changing things, but if you think about it, it's all for the same reason. Just to make it easier to work in, easier to create in, and easier to relax in. So in today's video, I just want to run you through all of the changes I've made to my office and studio and hopefully give you some inspiration for your own home setup. This video is sponsored by Anker. More on them in a moment. So in my opinion, the most crucial part of my entire office has to be the lighting, and I already had a ton of lights in here, but the backdrop system behind me didn't have as much functionality as I wanted. I originally had one light with a vari-pole system, and I couldn't move the light around to light up the backdrop. So I mounted two boom arms on either side of the backdrop, and then I have two Amaran 100Xs on either one of them. One of them has a lantern attachment, which evenly lights up this area of my office, and the other one has a barn door attachment, which kind of gives a little bit of a kick light to the wall behind me. Now, when I want to use the backdrop system, I just angle the boom arms onto the backdrop, throw a traditional softbox on it, and then I can use the backdrop system. And it frees up a ton of floor space with them not being on a light stand or a vari-pole. Now on this desk setup, which is like my secondary desk setup, I actually mounted the GVM Z200B directly to the ceiling right above it, and it just lights the entire desk really evenly and makes the area look super clean on camera. Now in the corner of my main desk setup, I originally had another vari-pole right there with an Amaran 100X and a lantern light. Again, in the spirit of freeing up floor space, I just decided to mount that to the ceiling as well. And I decided to switch to a regular softbox to give a more directional and moodier look to a shot like this, but it also still can light up the rest of the office. So if I'm filming B-roll over there or a product over there, I still have light whenever I need it. And then lastly, I mounted the GVM 300C next to my Husky tool chest on a vari-pole, and that just gives a subtle bit of light onto the wall behind me, but I can also aim it at the backdrop or wherever I'm filming in the office if I need some extra light. And with it being RGB, I can have some color if I need it. I have a lot of lights in here, but everything actually has a purpose now. Another huge change was organization. I got really tired of my IKEA storage system being complete chaos, so I 3D printed a ton of Gridfinity boxes so everything finally has a place. The top drawer is for camera accessories and rigs, the second drawer is for more desk setup and cable management, and then the bottom two drawers just hold my tools and some miscellaneous stuff, but they're not near as organized as the top two drawers. And above that, I reorganized my pegboard so it looks cleaner on camera, but it also frees up a lot of the top surface, which is now my charging station. So I basically never run out of batteries anymore. And that leads me into a really cool charger that Anker sent over to me. They sent over their Anker Smart Display Charger, and it's a 45-watt charger, but what makes it different is the smart display built right onto it. As soon as I plug my phone in, it instantly recognizes the device, and you actually see my phone model pop up on the screen, and then from there it automatically adjusts how it charges based on my battery level. So if my phone is really low, it fast charges, and as it gets closer to full, it slows things down a bit, and then once it's almost topped off, it switches into a trickle charging. And all of that happens automatically, which means I don't have to think about it. And one thing I really like about this, especially since my phone is basically glued to me all day, is Anker's Care Mode. And that whole idea is that it keeps your phone battery running cooler while it charges, which is better for long-term battery health. You can also tap the charger and see real-time info right on the screen. So things like charging power, temperature, and battery level. And it sounds like a small thing, but it's nice having that visibility instead of guessing what's going on. And the prongs fold, so whether I'm plugging it in behind my desk, next to an outlet, or in a tight space, the screen is still readable. And it's also super compact. It's way smaller than most chargers I've used, which makes it easy to just leave it plugged in here in the studio, but also throw it in a bag if I'm traveling or working somewhere else. And one last thing, the little animations and smart faces that pop up on the screen depending on how your phone is charging are just a nice touch overall. And it's not something you need, but it makes the whole entire experience feel a lot more thoughtful. For me, this is one of those accessories that just quietly makes the setup better, and I always know my phone is charging the right way. I can see what it's doing at a glance, and I don't really have to think about it, which is kind of the goal with everything in this office. Now, if you want to check this out, I have it linked below in the description, and thanks again to Anker for sponsoring this video. So my most favorite addition to this space so far, and the one that's probably removed the most friction, is my mobile YouTube setup. And I talked about this in a previous video where I built a consistent content creation setup, but like everything else, I've already changed it. So I took a rolling C-stand and then just added everything that I need to film onto it, like my newer X11 teleprompter, my Sony FX3, and a monitor. And then for audio, I have the Sennheiser MKE600, and that's running into the Zoom H1. And what I like the most about this setup is that I can get clean audio no matter where I'm at in my office and a good shot. And the original goal with this space was that every corner could look good on camera, and now I can actually use it that way. And I've actually thought about doing a more detailed video on this setup as a whole in the future, so let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. And I also have an Amaran 200X mounted as a key light on the mobile setup, and it keeps another light stand off the ground, which I like, but the only downside is that it makes it harder to use the key light anywhere else in the office. For example, if I want to light up a product shot on the desktop over there, I'm gonna have the mobile setup attached to it. So what I'll probably do is get another Amaran light and put it on another C-stand and just use that as like a secondary key light. For now, it works just fine. Now, a few other final upgrades to the office space as a whole is I actually moved my NAS from my tech closet into the studio so that the 3D printer vibrations don't mess with it over time. And I actually really like how it looks on the Husky tool chest. And I also recently got a new 3D printer that I'll be making a video on in the future. And then I added some more of those Govee plugs to all of the lights in the studio so that I can control them through Google Home with my voice. And if I don't feel like talking to Google or if my wife is on a call, I bought this Govee remote and I could just control them with the remote. So yeah, those are the main upgrades to my office and studio so far in 2026 that make my job easier and the space way more enjoyable to use. And I'm honestly really happy with it, but I'm not fully done yet. Over the rest of the year, I'll probably keep tweaking things to get it too close to perfect as possible. In about a year or so, I'll probably be moving again to what I consider to be my final office space, and that one's gonna be even better. So I'm always going to be changing things. So if you're into this kind of content, make sure you're subscribed. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.